We're coming up on the 1 year mark since I got the Apple Watch Series 6, and it's been a pretty great year. Wanted to recap it and just on the record say everything that I absolutely love about this watch before the Series 7 drops, and I suddenly and mysteriously start hating it with all my heart and soul. Let's begin. Apple's marketing department. It has quite an effect on all of us, right? We're always like, yeah, nothing's wrong with my watch. I'm not getting a new phone or anything. Oh my god, is that a matte black color? Okay, you know what? Actually, I might consider that one. And I think that we might see something similar with the Apple Watch Series 7. Functionally, is the Series 7 gonna have much going for it aside from the 6? No, not really, but it's going to do a great job showcasing how futuristic and how modern a new Apple Watch can look, and that instantly will make the Series 6 look dated. But until that time comes, Series 6 is an iconic, wonderful design, in my opinion, and I think that Apple has completely refined it and kind of perfected what they could with this footprint that we originally got with the Series 4 in 2018. When I first bought that, I had a very hard time figuring out what Apple was going to introduce in the future, and most of the major selling points that the Series 6 has going for it, I've kind of struggled to find much use case in. The blood oxygen level checking is interesting, and it's kind of fun facts to share with people if you're like, hey, look what my watch can do. But even on hikes and even on mountain bike rides and stuff, I have not really found much use in it. For one, that's not a super accurate place to measure your blood oxygen levels in the first place. And for two, it's not, FDA certified. It is not considered official medical equipment. So if that's the case, it's kind of interesting information, but you're not supposed to really look at that and take it as like a very accurate reading, and you're supposed to have different, more medical grade equipment to know the official measurements. Even if they're somewhat accurate, you can't fully rely on it as well as you can as dedicated hardware. So I never found that feature super useful. I've heard success stories with the ECG, although that was not exclusive to the Series 6, that has been able to catch people's heart rate beating irregularly, and people go to doctors and find out that their heart's having issues and they get it worked on. So I'm happy that that exists, and I'm glad that there's an Apple Watch that still has that feature, and I'm sure Apple wants to keep it around for the long haul, but I'm just not getting much use out of it with my Series 6. I've had a surprisingly sinus rhythm with all of my ECG checks. I would expect, with all my junk food and laziness, to have some kind of heart problem by now, but we'll see in the future. But by far, the main reason I have never spent a single day without my Apple Watch on is, for one, contactless payments is amazing, being able to check who is texting me very easily, and have a fairly expansive display, and honestly, being able to just simply scroll through long text messages people send me with the digital crown is probably the best thing the Apple Watch has over all of its competitors. Whether it's a rotating bezel or trying to cover up the display and scroll down like you do on a phone, even though the screen's pretty small, that always makes it harder to read the information on the display. So I think that the digital crown is the most elegant approach to scrolling on a watch, and the silent alarms for waking up in the morning is fantastic. If you don't want to wake up the person next to you and you just want a more gentle way of starting the day, just getting that little vibration motor on your wrist, you just look at it, hit stop, and move on. That has always been far better than having a phone make some annoying noise when I'm ready to wake up or the nap is over. So that's just a daily feature I'm using on the regular, and I've been pretty on and off about the always on display. Now I've actually owned a watch that's had this feature for an entire year, and there have been a handful of circumstances where it was kind of nice, where I was like, hey, I didn't have to flick my wrist to check the time, but for the most part, I keep it off. And I've noticed a substantially better battery life with the always on display not always on. I personally kind of dig the look of just the off display where it's just showing the glass, and especially if I'm in a circumstance where I know I'm not going to be able to charge every single night, and of course if I want to wake up to the alarm in the morning, that's when I have to wear the watch to bed. In those cases, the Apple Watch Series 6 still lasts me over 2 days on a charge, and my battery health has dropped 5%, which is around what you should expect after a year of owning a watch, sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's normal. I'm glad they found a way to charge the Apple Watch Series 6 faster than before, but because the only time I do charge it, it's typically when I'm going to sleep, and it's gonna be on the charger for quite some time. I haven't really noticed or appreciated it much. I also think the Apple Watch Series 6 has a fairly overkill amount of storage. It's funny to me that iPhones that are being sold, today for $800 or more still come with 64 gigs of storage, but the Apple Watch Series 6, which is also, a watch without a camera, without videos or movies or really much storage other than maybe some songs and pictures. They give this thing 32 gigs on my wrist. Yeah, that's where they want to put all that storage. Says a lot about how cheap the chips are overall, but I love the red aesthetic. I've always wanted more product red stuff in my life, so I was very, very happy that Apple finally made a solid red Apple Watch. In fact, that was the driving, motivating factor for me to get this. If they had a product red Apple Watch SE, I probably would have bought that just because I don't see myself using always on display much. I don't use the ECG very regularly or the blood oxygen level checkers, so those were all supplemental features. That's kind of cool, nice to have, but end of the day, I still really wish we could have that sapphire infused glass from the stainless steel options come down to the cheaper options. My glasses held up fairly well, but under certain lighting, I can just barely notice a little bit of those micro scratches, but it is fairly hard to notice. You have to be, looking for it intentionally. And it's amazing how much health tech and what great battery life they can stuff into such a small and light device that just sits on my wrist, and I'm glad that I'm still able to use the watch band that came with my original Apple Watch from 2015, still compatible with the Series 6, and you don't really notice any kind of unsymmetrical meshing or anything like that. It still works. Impressive for Apple to support a standard this long. That isn't lightning, of course. Can we get rid of that? And of course, the Apple Watch was a complete godsend when Apple finally rolled out the update that meant if you're wearing an Apple Watch with a passcode and it's unlocked, and you're wearing a face mask and you're using an iPhone with Face ID, it'll unlock anyway, which I've discovered the iPhone unlocking even when I'm not wearing a mask sometimes and it just gets a bad reading, but simply because I can hit the lock button so easily on my watch, I don't really care. I like the fact that the iPhone will unlock even when I don't mean it to, because I'm in a secure environment in my home. I don't really care if it's just magically unlocked sometimes. The other thing I use my watch for every single day is, of course, unlocking my Mac, and this is why I wish the Apple Watch could be the key to the entire ecosystem. If I'm paying for something on the web or installing certain software on my Mac, I can just double tap my watch, and that's just a great benefit of the whole ecosystem. No, I've never been in a situation where I wish my Apple Watch had a camera. Sorry, I don't think they're gonna do that. But the biggest issue I take with the Series 6 is really a non-issue. It's not a major one. I really just noticed that it's still rocking this curved chassis design, and pretty much everything else is moving towards squared off. My phone is squared off, my iPad is squared off. Sounds like these upcoming MacBook Pros are gonna be squared off as well. So I'm kind of ready for the Apple Watch to take that approach as well. I wish that the Apple Watch could support MagSafe charging, but because of MagSafe Duo, it's not really the end of the world. I'm still undecided on whether or not I'm definitely upgrading to the Series 7, but it might depend on if I can sell this for a decent amount. But unlike iPhones, Apple Watches lose a lot of the resale value fairly quickly. So here's hoping we don't get a price hike on Tuesday. But how have you guys been holding up with your older Apple Watches? What are you rocking? Series 4s? Series 3s? My God, is there anyone still rocking an Apple Watch Sport out there, or has that battery been shot to heck yet? Feel free to let me know. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you guys in the next one.